Now, we finally made it to experiment 1, and this is just really a cover slide for experiment 1, because experiment 1 is all of these experiments. There's a 1A, a 1B, a 1C, a 1D, a 1E, and a 1F. And the first three, you see, have these single asterisks on them. I don't know if you can see that or not. But the first three all have anonymous detectors. That means the detector just sends out a pulse. One pulse is like any other pulse. So the pulse that comes out of this detector, D1, is exactly like the pulse that comes out of that detector, D2. And if all the lengths of the wires and things are all exactly the same, by the time they get to this point, the which way information is erased, because when they get down here into this R1, it can't tell one pulse from the other, because they both come together at that one point. So you see, this is a very simple way to erase the data. I tried to keep these experiments simple because they have a higher probability of being done if they're simple and cheap. So this is a simple erasure experiment. You have which way data here and here because it's on, but by the time you get past this point, it gets erased, because it gets down here, it just says, a pulse arrived. You know, another pulse arrived. It doesn't say pulse from 1 or 2. Okay, so this is just a regular erasure experiment. Because it's an erasure experiment, what we expect to find is when it gets around to what's on the screen, it's going to pull it from this distribution. Now, if we make these detectors to where they're unique, so now this detector says, got a pulse coming from 1, and that's the message that gets recorded here at 1. Pulse just came in from 1. Now we've got which way data. So if they are unique in some way, then we collect the which way data, and then it has to draw from this distribution. You see? So it depends on whether we have these unique or whether we have these anonymous. So we can turn this back and forth just by switching these two. We can turn it back and forth between anonymous and unique. Which way data, not which way data.